Hey guys, I am sitting down with Paul and we thought that we should put together a video talking about how we moved back to Alaska after living in Colorado for 4 years. So we're going to start with talking about what we did with our house because we actually bought a house in Colorado.
Yeah, so we decided to do something not for sale by owner. That seemed a little bit daunting to us. I hadn't done anything like that. But we also needed the money to move back because, it can be pretty expensive selling your house through traditional real estate means. So in Colorado, there was a company called Trailora that we used, and you kind of do the legwork, but they do all the paperwork. So I did the house showings. I actually advertise, and they'll even do some of this, but we were kind of in the rural area, so I actually did a little bit more than I really needed to. But if you're in a city or something, you can find these companies that do this kind of combo where they'll do all the legal stuff so you feel comfortable there. They'll even advertise for you and put it in different real estate listings, but you're the one kind of helping them coordinate the showings. And they might even come to your house if you're close. I don't know, but we were rural, so I did it all. I even fielded the offers and all that. I felt comfortable with, and then once I made the decision, I connected them with the other people's real estate agent, and they just kind of took it over from there. So that worked out really well because that was a flat fee. I think it was $2,500, and that made it way more manageable for us. It allowed us to use a lot of that money that went from the sale of the house to help us move up. So if you own a house and you're trying to think of ways to save money, that was a big one for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. So next we had a couple of vehicles, so we sold them and we bought a truck and a camper for Paul to drive up in. So the kids and I flew back because we were not going to try to drive up with two young children. And Paul bought a truck with a camper that slides in the bed and saved a bunch of money on lodging on the drive up. And he also bought a big enclosed trailer, and we just took everything with us that would fit inside of it, and everything that didn't fit had to be sold.
Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, I was looking at even buying one of those big white box kind of rental, things. That would be another option, but
a van or
a bigger truck, like a U-Haul. But you can buy those. The U-Haul was like $6,000, I think, when I got the quote for that. And I was just like, for a week of driving, $6,000. I was like, I'm gonna buy a trailer try to get it under $6,000, and I think I bought it for about $5,800 or something. No, $5,200.
Okay.
And then we upgraded the truck with the sliding camper, like you saw. I saw that on a Facebook group, and he sold me a good deal with the camper with it. And then if you have family or someone that can come down and drive for you, my brother-in-law drove the other vehicle because we hooked a smaller trailer to that. But anyways, we got both trailers, and then we drove up and then saved ourselves the $6,000 in U-Haul, and then we sold the enclosed trailer. And because things are more expensive here in Alaska, and there's limited supply of things compared to maybe in the lower 48, I was actually able to sell the trailer for more.
Yeah, so we wound up not paying $6,000 out for a U-Haul and actually making a little bit of money off of the enclosed trailer.
$200 or something, but I didn't go in the hole selling the trailer.
Yeah, for a U-Haul while you're never going to get your money back.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit confusing because I said we sold our vehicles. We actually kept one of them. So Paul's brother-in-law flew down and drove up the car that we kept with a smaller trailer attached to the back.
Sold the truck and got a bigger truck to haul the trailer and the camper.
Yep.
And I think the decision to have you guys fly back was a good one.
I think so too, because what month was it that you drove back up? Was it
April?
It was April. Okay, that's what I thought. So there was a few times where I couldn't get a hold of him, but he would be like, it's super icy, there's a lot of semis out, and
yeah, it would have been more stressful, I think, to have, especially with young kids, and the time of the year. So I mean, if you're older kids and you're traveling up in the middle of summer, you probably have a lot of fun. Great. But it was April, snowy. My brother-in-law had to get back to work, so we were doing really long days. But if you're thinking about doing it, it can be done in April. I mean, I've seen people drive in winter. I don't know if I'd advise that.
Right. Especially, I see a lot of people in the groups that are moving from like Florida or Texas, and definitely don't try to come up in the winter, and probably don't try to come up in April either.
If you can,
come up in May. It'd be better.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Yes. So, where do you want to go from here? How did we pick our location moving back?
Well, we had the benefit of living here prior to Colorado.
So we're gonna backpedal a little bit because a lot of you guys probably have never seen a video from us before, but we were both born and raised in Alaska our whole life.
Right.
And we got a wild hair and decided to move to Colorado just because. And as time went on, we lived there for 4 years and we decided to move back home. So that helped us out a lot in choosing our location. And we chose Palmer.
Mm-hmm. For the reasons why we were both born and raised here.
Right.
It's a big reason, but actually we think it's one of the cooler towns. It was close to where I had to commute distance, and it's kind of got that rural feel, which we really like. As we try and do like a little homestead type approach here. But for people that are not from here, we had a lot of experience in inns and families, so we kind of had the leg up.
Right.
But for people that don't know, I'd be looking on Facebook groups. That's a huge one. There's a group for everything. So if you're wondering about how to commute, there's a Glen Highway Facebook group.
Right.
If you're wondering what a certain small area is like Palmer, there's Palmer Facebook groups. There's neighborhood Facebook groups.
Right.
I mean, you can really dial it in and join some of those groups and ask people and get some really good current feedback. Because that's the other thing I noticed. Like when I was looking reverse when we were moving to Colorado, I was looking at like old forums, and some of that stuff is just outdated.
Right.
It's like from 2012, and I don't know how much stock you should put in some of those.
Well, like you were saying, some of the old forums for some of the towns in Alaska you can move to, they'll give you information that says like the commute is horrible. But if you look at 2020, you'll see that they actually expanded the highway, and so
right.
the commute
it's got 3 lanes now.
so the commute isn't horrible anymore. So definitely make sure that you're checking up-to-date sources about the area that you're looking into. I do see a lot of people from out of state looking at places without, I think, doing too much research. I see a lot of people looking at moving to Homer a lot. What's your take on that?
Alaska's different than the lower 48. I mean, these things are, it's 5 hours away from Anchorage to Homer. And I don't know, I don't think people realize how spread out it is.
Yep.
And you gotta really, these smaller towns don't have everything, that.
And if they do, we were just at a town over by Talkeetna, and that's not even that far away. And the grocery store was amazingly expensive. It was just phenomenal. Like, it blew our minds because, like, Paul's traveled to villages and stuff, and the pickles at this grocery store are comparable to, like, Bethel pickles. Like, it was like $8 for
a jar of pickles.
For a jar of pickles. And then it only gets worse the farther out you go. So think of
cost of living.
Cost of living. Everybody really talks about how expensive Alaska is, and I find that it's not actually horribly more expensive than Colorado, where we live, because Colorado is kind of an expensive state. But that's because we live closer to some of the bigger cities. If you go to Homer or I'm trying to think of the popular ones that I keep seeing in groups.
Seward,
any of those coastal towns are beautiful, and people do live there year round and they love it. I just think it might be a hard adjustment if you're coming from city life or a place with a big population.
Yeah. And that's what we did going to Colorado, though. We moved to Colorado Springs for 1 year.
Right.
And then you explore for a year before you dial in the places that you like. So I would do that. I'd move to a bigger populated area and then explore.
Yes. Right. So we actually rented in the Springs for a year because we didn't want to get locked down into anything. So that would be a really good piece of advice if you are moving up here. Before you buy and then make yourself hate the whole state because you hate where you picked, buy somewhere that is within a decent driving distance from other towns.
Mm-hmm.
So like Anchorage is a good spot. The Matsu Valley is a good spot where it's cheaper, and maybe it's not where you want to live permanently, but you can at least explore the area around there and find out where you want your forever home to be.
Yeah, I think those are good tips. And then the only other one I thought of is, like, you've been obviously doing a little bit more of this YouTube stuff, and I wish I would have checked that out more, because you can
Yes.
find people that, you know, maybe have, you know, channels or something about what you like, and then go message them directly.
Yeah,
you know?
find people that have the lifestyle that you want in Alaska and try to dial that in a little bit.
Ask them the questions, you know, because they'll, if you're wondering about farmland, you don't want to go ask the guy that's doing his YouTube channel in the heart of Anchorage.
Right.
You know, you want to go find someone in Matanuska Valley or something like that. So find those people.
Yeah, certain areas of Fairbanks. And,
Yeah, interior Tana, they have great farming, or, you know, things like that. You want to pick the people that are doing what you think you want to do, and then go look at their channel or message them, and I bet you most of them would reply and give you some really pointed advice. So,
and even hashtags on Instagram, you can search like Homer Alaska and find locals that are tagging their stuff with Homer Alaska, or you could just search gardening in Alaska and get connected with those kinds of people. So there's a lot of resources these days as far as kind of narrowing in your niche and finding the area where people that have a lifestyle that you enjoy kind of tend to congregate.
yeah, I think if I knew those things, that would be really helpful.
Yes. So, is that it?
I feel like it.
All right. If you are new here, I do this in every video. Please, if you enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed already, we would love to have you join us. We put out a new video every week, and we are starting to climb towards doing twice a week. So hang in there, and we'll see you in the next one.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.